What's up, guys? Ryan Fischer here, talking about my history with CrossFit, programming, business, marketing, so many different things in the CrossFit space and what you guys can do to help you guys be better businessmen and better gym owners.
We also find out just how long it takes Fern to bleach his butthole.
That's definitely not true, but we do talk about a lot of business, treating your craft as a professional, and a whole host of other things. You're definitely going to want to check this out. This episode is packed. We'll see you there. Welcome to the best hour of their day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez.
And me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
As both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better
boxes.
boxes. Welcome to
The best hour of your day.
All right, we're here with Ryan Fischer. I told you.
We have a live audience and heated headphones, everybody.
No, but we are here at the 2022 CrossFit Games. I've been trying to get Ryan on in person for probably about a month now.
Yeah.
I reached out. I heard Ryan on the Mark Bell, the Mark Bell Power Podcast?
Yep, Power Project.
You were awesome on there. If you guys haven't, first of all, I love Mark Bell's podcast in general. I listen to almost every episode, but your episode was phenomenal. And I was telling you, I listened on the way home from a vacation, and I learned a lot about you. I mean, I think it goes without saying you're really smart. You're crushing it in the programming space, which we'll talk about. But the one thing that stood out to me, Fern, is most people, I don't know, I mean, it's a new generation in CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
But the old
The young kids don't know any of that shit.
I think that it's like a part of CrossFit folklore. Like, who's the guy that threatened to murder a judge again?
They still bring it back every now and again. Actually, Dave
I think
Castro,
he posted something,
posted it.
but he had a nice comment in there. He was like,
Yeah, he's like, I don't hate him.
Right.
And I was like, that's bullshit, but right on.
Hiller posted it in defense of Dave. Hiller used it against
well, Hiller doesn't
you.
like me. Yeah, he doesn't like me.
Hiller doesn't like
Yeah.
Oh,
you?
you guys aren't internet friends?
I honestly don't know why anyone knows him, to be honest.
Well,
I know he's just like, he's coming in and like making
the show
like.
just got controversial, everybody.
Oh, it's fine.
No,
I just
I'm
don't,
kidding.
like, he's just coming in like bringing that negative energy, which is
What's
fine.
your political preferences? Let's just start there.
he's moving out of California to Lake
Are you
Tahoe.
moving?
I am, yeah. So
Where
I
you
lived
going?
in Southern California for 10 years now, and now I'm moving to Lake Tahoe
Oh, nice.
on the Nevada side, Incline Village.
Hell yeah.
If you want to feel jealous of someone's life, you check out Ryan Fischer on social media, and you're like, that dude is living the life.
Well deserved, earned.
Yeah,
Earned.
and that's what it is. It is earned. But here's the thing. You said you've talked about it forever, and I appreciate that. But I wanted to give CrossFit listeners the backstory. And I think one thing Fern and I really try to do with our affiliates and try to do with our coaching is understand there's two sides to every story. And something we always say is you never know what someone's going through. And in that moment, you may have threatened to murder somebody. We get it. But there was a lot going on in your life, and that was like a really important time, and it was being taken away from you.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been like hangry before, right? Where like your significant other's like trying to be nice. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill you. You know what I mean? Because you're just like, you're worried about the sandwich you threw away like 3 hours ago. You're so hungry.
I have a 3-year-old that I have these discussions with regularly. Like,
You know what I
listen,
mean?
I'll
So,
throw
like-
you in the trash can.
In the moment, I think it was, I don't know. It wasn't the best thing to say, but I feel like it was appropriate considering my situation. Just like for me personally, I think a lot of people don't realize that the years going into that, you know, I was graduated. I had 2 degrees, one in exercise physiology, and I had another one in nutrition. I was on the Olympic team for skeleton and bobsled for 5 years.
That was cool too. I found out.
I didn't know
about
that.
I was a
Yeah,
helicopter pilot. I mean, dude, I had the resume of like
He has a crazy
insane
backstory.
resume.
Well, I guess there is. Is there recreational helicopter piloting?
Well, I was going professional, and then so I paid a lot of money to get through some of these licenses, and then I decided I was going to go into the military and fly.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So just like a bunch of different routes kind of went into play, but I gave up everything to be in CrossFit. Like everything. I mean, I had no money. And then like I had negative money. I was stealing from the grocery store. Like everything was like not okay. If you look up some of my old YouTube videos, I'm like competing to go to like, you know, stuff like the Granite Games, and like the OC Throwdown was the big one back in the day, and I'm barefoot in all the videos, and it's not because I liked being barefoot, it's because I had one pair of shoes and I wanted to go on dates and shit with clean shoes. So it was like a serious thing,
Yeah.
you know? And then it got to the point where for 4 months I slept on some girl's couch who I didn't even know, because I was telling everybody I was going to drive back home to New Jersey, was where I'm from.
You're from Tom's River, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, hey guys, I gotta go. Like, I got no money left. I sold like so many things, like watches that were handed down to me. Like, I mean, I sold everything. And then eventually just like, you know, this girl was like, well, you can sleep on my couch for a couple months till you get on your feet. And I was like, I guess I have nothing else to do. I thought maybe for like 1 month it would be a thing, you know, but it turned into 4. And then I can't even tell you, like, for 4 months, and like I'm a grown-ass 35-year-old man, like I'm not ashamed to say, like, I cried for probably 5 out of 7 days out of the week, and just was like, as I'd go to sleep, like my biggest thought was like, why the fuck am I even waking up tomorrow just to go work out in the gym again? Like another fucking dirtbag for like 3 hours and be like, I want to go to the games and all this stuff.
Where were you training at this time?
In San Diego at a gym called CrossFit PB. And,
Okay.
oh,
yeah.
That's
they're
Brian's
old.
gym.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay,
that's
so
why I know
Brian-
Anders and Brian.
Okay, cool.
I worked out at their gym when I had nothing. So
Right.
like, that's what I did. But like, I had this belief where it was like, I was beating some of the top guys in the world's times, and I was like, I know that if I get a chance to compete with these guys, I'll do really well. So I eventually, you know, qualified for some big competition. Everybody was there except for like Rich Froning.
This was the regional event.
This was the OC Throwdown.
Oh, the OC Throwdown, okay.
And I got second place. And then like 3 weeks later, or like a week later, they feel like their scoring was all messed up, and I actually won. So I got so much hype from that all of a sudden I got a job, and then like I got sponsored by like Progenics, remember that back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
And then like all these things started to like happen, and that was kind of how like my career started. You know, and that, I mean, just a lot of people just don't know that like that was what was going into that one event.
Right.
And then obviously the year before that event, people forget too, is actually I got 4th place. So I missed the games by 1 spot.
Yeah.
And it was only because some guy got a snatch. He caught it on his knees and then stood up. It was like he shouldn't have got it. I feel like points-wise nowadays, they probably wouldn't let you do that.
Yeah, that's typically not one of the points of performance, catching a snatch.
So that next year, I was like, I'm going. I like trained my ass off. It was like the only thing I cared about. I made like $1 all year, you know, and I just put everything into it. And
In that moment, because now I didn't know any of that, by the way. So
and he's
kudos on you for
Yeah.
for sharing that. That's like, I think being vulnerable is an underrated skill set. But
I'll cry right now.
I dare you.
I mean, it looks like we all are right now. It's so hot out here.
I swear this is sweat.
But I mean, now knowing that is like, I don't even know if you remember what you were thinking at that time. But if you're like, hey, if this doesn't work out, like that's it. I'm done.
Totally.
This
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
me losing a competition. Like my fucking life is gonna be over at this point.
You said you don't even remember that moment.
I actually don't know.
Yeah. And think about it, Fern. Like, we judge these guys, like, they don't remember they're, like, in a different space.
Stakes are high, dude.
Well, this
Yeah.
workout was 3 minutes, too. It was 21-15-9 workout with
This is the one
deadlifts and box
Austin
jumps.
Malleolo won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, he bounced the fuck out of that bar.
Well,
Was it a deadlift?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was one, you know.
And
how-
mine
he's here. We can
looked
go-
way better than
Yours-
that.
He's here. He's here. We can go talk to him right
we
now.
can grab him. This would be fantastic.
To be honest, I'm happy to laugh about it, but like I think he would agree and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I bounced the shit out of that.
He
Well, it's
also
one of
has
those weird
7-foot
standards.
wingspan. And he's 5'4". So
Yeah, he
there's
does.
that.
It's a crazy standard, which at the time you got volunteer judges. That's a tough standard to be like, it's subjective. What's bouncing versus what's not
Right.
bouncing. And that's what you were getting called for, right? Bouncing it? Sorry, Ryan's.
My chalk
Yeah,
crew.
Ryan's
yeah.
a chalk
Ryan's
crew.
waving to his fans over there. But you were getting no rep for bouncing, right?
That's what they said, yeah.
Gotcha. So anyway, you don't remember the moment, but
What year is that, by the way?
2014?
14.
were you
When-
competing that year?
Because 13.
No, I got injured in 13, and then
Yeah.
that was my
That was
games
it.
my game
You
stream was
peaked-
over.
You peaked in
I peaked
2012.
in 2012. When did you open chalk?
So the year after that.
Okay.
Which
so
was-
that was kind of a jumping off point for a lot of things.
Yep.
Okay.
But it wound up helping you in the long term.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to get my gym up and going. So, like, my mom started crying. She's like, oh, my God, no one's going to go to your gym. Everybody hates you. Like, everyone said you're a maniac. And, like, I was like, Mom, it's going to be fine. Like, you're thinking about the whole world. I'm just trying to, like, open a gym in a small town in California.
Nobody knows.
I'll be
Don't watch
okay.
regionals weren't even really
Yeah.
public at the time. Like,
So-
maybe on, Facebook or
Well, you know
something.
what, though? I actually disagree to,
Were
like,
they?
to the point where, like, when we talk about old school CrossFit.
14 was the peak.
Dude, so that's what I'm saying is, like, I think old school 2000.
Just because YouTube peaked in 2014.
No, well, if you
doesn't mean
look at and this is not a secret. This is kind of common knowledge. The peak of, and we were discussing this the other day in in the panels. The peak of that of like level 1 attendance, level 2 affiliate ownership was in 13, 14, 15. Like that little 3-year window was all-time high. Media was cranking. The games was at an all-time high. Like it was now becoming a thing that could be dramatized. People were watching it. YouTube was blowing up. No, that was absolutely the peak. But I think we're getting ready to go through another one.
I mean, I think a peak. I think you could say it's the peak in terms of like all that stuff, but I think it was the peak in terms of like who you knew.
Right.
So like, you know, I didn't even go to the games, but so many people knew who I was. But like now,
it was a smaller world too, right?
Yeah, I mean it was smaller world, but it was just like I don't know. I just feel like you posted anything on Facebook, everybody knew what it was. Anything on Instagram, everybody knew what it was. But now it's like
I think social media had a significantly higher engagement at that time because it wasn't a dumpster fire at the time.
Yeah.
It was stuff people wanted to see. It wasn't just hate.
Yeah.
By the way, how tall are you?
5'5".
I don't want any
Gotcha.
guests any over 5'5". This is it.
Yeah.
But keep only guests because this is so much nicer.
He doesn't have to look up at
I've
people.
never spoken to somebody. Oh, what's up, Ben?
Wad prep in the house. Wad prep.
Yeah. You know Ben Javolsky?
Oh, yeah.
Wad prep.
Javushki.
He's over in Boulder too. Well,
Yeah, he's
just
in Boulder.
outside. Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah, 2014 was the peak, but evidently it didn't
No, but
hurt.
I want
I
to hear
was
what
gonna
he has to
say
say
is
about
like
that.
now I feel like if you don't make it like in the top 5 in the CrossFit Games, I have no clue who you are.
It's tough.
I think that's valid,
it's
yeah.
kind of a double-edged sword, I think. Now,
Like this
you
guy.
can
This guy's
still-
a games athlete right
like
there,
you-
right?
Is he?
Yeah.
No.
He is. That guy right there is a games athlete.
oh yes, no, he is.
I don't know what his
Yeah,
name
see,
is.
I got
I
nothing.
have to read a shirt.
Yeah.
But you can still make a living though. But you're not going to get the big money.
No.
Right, the big money, and that's kind of it's a weird sport in that respect because the prize money is really reserved for 2 people.
You know,
First place.
One of my
That's it.
most viral posts of all time, and you do a lot of posts that are like pretty good in terms of like digging people in their soul.
Yeah. It's no turtleneck advertising like yours.
Dude,
but
those
yeah,
are good
yeah.
ads. I crush on those. Anyway, one of the most piercing posts that I ever had was like during my career when I decided to shift to business and do more like business side of things, which nobody was doing at the time. I think I was like the first person to sell an ebook. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm selling an ebook. I don't care. And like, I don't think anybody was really doing
I remember
that
that
yet.
actually.
Yeah. But like I broke this down in a post one time. I was like, guys, listen, you are training X amount of hours per day, X amount of hours per week, and I trained with a games athlete, Kenny Leverage at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Brian,
yeah.
yeah.
I watched how many classes he was giving up and how many personal training sessions he was giving up, and I watched all these things happen, and I broke down all the numbers, and I was like, if you go to the CrossFit Games after all is said and done, and you get third, which is insane, by the way, you're going to make 50 grand. I'm like, you gave up more than 50 grand all year, and if you had 3 personal training clients for $100 an hour, 3 days a week, that's 50 grand. So you're like barely even working for 50 grand.
I want to say something about Ryan because you were talking. You're very friendly with Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
And we're big fans. Your brains are like you guys are always doing like math, right?
It's
like
a beautiful mind.
in their head, like. But that's really smart shit. What he just did. It's like, and I think a lot of
3 hours a day, 3 days a week. I mean, like, you're
Nah,
going to trade that for 50 grand in the games? I mean,
no, but I mean, like a lot of people don't ever think about like.
It's a romantic
what's the-
thing
what-
though, because
there's a
people
term
you're not
for that, like
and that well the
cost of
Rainmaker?
no, but there's
Rain Man?
I'm definitely not wearing my underwear.
Rain Man?
No, but there's a cost of like sacrifice there. And
Opportunity
that-
cost.
Opportunity cost.
Opportunity
No,
cost,
but
yeah.
what you're leaving out is this is like any sport, which is a lot of people. Yes, there's money involved there, but that's not why they're doing it. They're doing it because let's be honest. Like you're looking for notoriety in some way, shape, or form. You're just super passionate and you want to climb that ladder and you want to be seen as the best at your thing. And there's nothing wrong with that.
It's a prerequisite for success, though.
Right.
People think that, like, I thought this my entire career. So, like, I can't wait to talk about this probably later, or we can segment into it now. But it's like, I remember
We have no agenda. So go
when I started my
So I
online
should just throw these show notes out.
when I started my online training app, I literally, like, it exploded, like, right away. I mean, exploded, you know, in terms of what I was making at the time. So,
you
like,
said like 4x what you were making or something.
I was
right?
making I don't mind talking about numbers, but it was like I was making $4 grand a month in the gym, and I mean
Out of chalk.
that was my salary,
Right,
right?
right.
Like at the end of the year, if we made money, we would get a split or whatever. I have
Right.
one partner. I'm 70% owner. He owns 30, and I remember the first day I launched my training program online. I made $4 grand the first week, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna get another $4 grand next month," and then it climbed all the way up to like 20 grand a month. And at no point did I only like brought it up like 2 or 3 times in like a year or two. I think it took like 2 years to get to 20 grand a month because I didn't talk about it at all. And it's because I genuinely felt like I was the guy who threatened to murder the judges. I was the guy who like didn't go to the CrossFit Games.
So
like
a little
I
bit
wasn't
of imposter
rich.
syndrome.
Oh, I felt like I didn't deserve it at all. And like that's like such a terrible way to think about it. And I genuinely thought that I needed to win so that I could tell people that I'm the best at making programs or this or that. And I thought I needed that prerequisite for success, and I absolutely didn't at all. I mean, everybody
you just need
here,
to be good.
Yeah. You don't even need to be good, though. You just need to be really good at what you
Well,
do.
well, that's what I mean, though. Like, you good, whatever thing you do. Like, I don't like. Listen, I think everybody probably has some sort of unique super skill. Like, I take offense to people that sell garbage, right, for the sake of selling
Yeah.
stuff. But if you're good at your shit, listen, I'm in full support. Like, sell it high ticket. I don't care.
Yeah.
But, like, don't just be like, oh, this is the world's greatest training program, and you walk in and it's just like, oh, 5x5 back squat? Like, that's what you put in this ebook, you fucking turd?
Yeah.
Or like,
But you
that,
know
I
people
think,
like that make a lot of money, right?
They do, and it's annoying because it's like, I get it. And I think this is where you kind of have to make like a weird little kind of like ethical business decision is like, what can I take away from that?
Yeah.
Which is like, this person's clearly doing something right. They're selling a terrible product. And this is every affiliate owner ever. Like, but I'm really good at coaching. And I'm like, right, but you're broke. Your gym sucks. So how could we tip the scales and get a little bit more balance here? Which is like, and a lot of people, it's just like learning to sell, or they have issues with money, or they have imposter syndrome or whatever. I think we've all been through that. Like, probably still deal with that to some extent. But I tell you what I do now is like, I look at things like that and I'm like, what are they doing? Because something there is clearly working. I don't have to like the product or the service, but like, what's the tactic or what's the sales thing that they figured out that would help me because I think that I'm better at a thing than somebody else, right? Not even that person.
It's very interesting. I talk to entrepreneurs all the time. I think like one of the biggest messages I get all the time in my DMs now is like people want me to do like business coaching. And I've actually asked Alex about this. I'm like, hey, you think I could shift to business coaching? He's like, dude, fuck no. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like your shit's good. Like,
Well, that's Alex's
just keep
thing, right?
growing
Like,
it.
don't do 10 things well,
Yeah.
do one thing great.
I just get so many requests for it. And it's just like, it is very interesting.
Yeah, but you're getting requests. It's a weird one, right? Because it's a double-edged sword. They're like, hey, can you do this? And like, well, you're DMing me because I'm really good at this fucking thing, and now you want me to shift gears and do another thing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
or tell you what I'm doing.
right.
I had a lot of athletes. I said this on Mark Bell's podcast. Like a lot of athletes I competed back in the day who were happy to see me like get in trouble and all these different things. And they all messaged me and they're like, hey man, can you help me with like sales? And I was like, absolutely fucking not. I can help you with go fuck yourself.
So, what do you think makes your programming so special? And for the record, my wife has chalk programming, so I check it out. I like the Big Booty Blueprint. You're telling me to do FBA. What is it? Functional Bodybuilding Association? No, what's it?
I like that though. I don't think Marcus would like that because he's functional bodybuilding.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
And we
yeah.
talk all the time. I love Marcus.
Marcus Philly.
Yeah.
Good dude.
So basically, it's called full body aesthetics. Essentially,
That's it,
most
full
of the
body
programs
You
that
weren't close at all, by the way.
Samsonite.
Samsonite. I was way off.
but I like it. I like it. You say it way off. If you guys don't know the movie Dumb and Dumber, please go watch that.
We've referenced it
Yeah, if you
every
don't
show.
watch that movie, don't watch this podcast anymore.
By the way,
We're friends with
Marcus, I want to give Marcus has a great. We were talking to our media guy Nate. Marcus's media guy, also named Nate, is fantastic. You can steal that Nate. Don't steal our Nate.
you. Yeah, bare minimum NATO.
Well, actually, Marcus texted me like a couple days ago, like 2 days ago, and he's like, "Oh, like I know you're moving to Tahoe. Like, just come up and film with me anytime." And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, that'd be awesome." So a lot of the programs that I make, pretty much all of them, I design all myself. I don't have any coaches that help me with programming, which is insane. Everybody tells me I need to get
You do
people-
all the tracks?
all of it.
What do you have, like 8?
7.
7 tracks? Wow.
I make them all myself every day.
What's a week take you?
Like a whole day. Pretty much, I'll be in the coffee shop. I usually take.
So
I mean,
one day a week you're doing 7 tracks.
I go in.
Not all of them are 5 days a week, right? Some are 3 days, some are 4 days.
Some are 4. And the Olympic lifting programs can be 3 at times. But yeah, typically I wake up on either Friday or Saturday morning, pop an Adderall, go straight to Starbucks, and just try to forget about food for the day. And just water and coffee the whole day.
And just crank it out.
And
That's
to
kind
just-
of your routine.
And just crank, yeah. And I don't take Adderall
Wow.
any other day. I just take them on those days.
So
Does
you work 4 days a month?
No, I have all the marketing stuff on the other days.
So
Mine's
you
got-
just write programming on Fridays?
It's either Friday or Saturday. A lot of times on Sunday, it's Monday in like Australia and London. I have people all over the world, so I've started to get them in like at least by Saturday. So sometimes it's Friday. Sometimes
I'd like to
Saturday.
stick there for a second because this is a recurring theme specifically in affiliate ownership. Talk a little bit about your weekly routine. So all your stuff, right? Everything you do for both Chalk and your program, meaning Chalk, the brick and mortar, the box, right?
The brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So I don't do anything really with the brick and mortar anymore. I have a manager now who does all of it.
do you mind?
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you a personal question. Do you mind saying what you pay that manager ish?
I
I know that's a person out there, so
I want to say it's like base is like 4, but then everything else is performance based.
Right.
So
Per
if we
month.
hit, yes.
okay, that's a good
Yeah.
salary for a gym. Just because a lot of affiliate owners are like, what do I pay someone to?
I mean, she
to
makes-
run the place.
She makes good money.
She probably makes at least 70.
Yeah.
Right, with some perks in there.
Yeah.
That's great for a GM of a CrossFit affiliate.
Most people would be happy with 70 grand.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you any prices of anything you want to know.
No, that was
But, yeah.
no, because a lot of box owners that we work with are at the point where like I want to bring somebody in. Where's a good starting point? And I think
Well, that depends on what you can afford. People, that's not where I wanted to go with that. Just like I wanted to talk with like your
Programming style.
your program, not even your style, right? So just like how you approach
the week to week.
how you approach, like you get up, because it sounds to me like you treat this like you would treat training. Like I get up, I fucking do my work, and then I move to the next thing.
So I'm a big fan of like wake up and just start crushing right away. I will like when
Alex
someone tells me
loves
their
to.
morning routine, I'm like, dude, just fucking stop it and start working. But like, and Alex is the first person to say it like publicly and like make it a thing. But I've always was just like, dude, like I don't have time to like go in the cold plunge, like meditate and like think about like all this shit, then do like a lime water and then like bleach my butthole to the sun. It's just like so much.
That's where my time is wasted. Bleaching my butthole. Especially in Colorado. Winters in Colorado takes me
the
hours.
reason I bring that the reason I bring that up is because I think because I do that too. Like it's
You
a
bleach
little
your butthole?
No, I would be, but I've slowly gravitated towards that over the last couple years. Was like, and I didn't even know I was doing it. It sounds like this might be you too. Which is like I treat the box and all the stuff that we do at Best Hour like I used to treat basketball and how I used to treat training, which is like it's my job. I get up and I train or I do the thing and I treat every day like that. Like there's things I'm trying to accomplish. I'm not just like, what am I going to do? I'm going to take it easy this morning. And I'm like, no, like it's not what professionals do. And I think a lot of box owners, a simple mindset shift would just be like, hey, if we're really being honest, we could find 20 hours in your work week and we could get some shit accomplished.
I actually would think, and I would definitely guarantee, like if you're not uncomfortable right now in what you're doing, that you're probably not that good at it.
I like that.
I'm just going to say, like, I feel like if you are not, like, uncomfortable in some way, like you don't like waking up early to get your work in, or you don't like going to bed on time, or you have to have a lot of tough conversations, then I would say you're probably doing the right thing. But if you're just like, dude, life's fucking great, and I don't worry about anything, I'm like, your business is probably falling apart.
I've heard that referred to as the stretch. You kind of like live your life like right at the edge before it breaks. You're just like, I live here for a little bit and then I adapt to that and then I can stretch it a little bit further and you just keep doing that over time.
It's like training, right? Like you need to be challenging yourself constantly. And that can be whether it's what time you wake up or having a more disciplined routine.
That's
what's your current...
Wait, Brian was about to give me a compliment.
sorry.
I was going to say, that's like a good thing is like a lot of people think that when you start getting successful in your business, everyone's like, oh, he only cares about money. Like I've had employees think that like Ryan only cares about money for sure. And it's like, dude, you don't understand what it's like to get to where I'm at and then have to deal with all these other fucking mega brands because they're just going to eat me. Like I'm going to be like a little tiny little plankton walking around. This whale is like, whomp. And it's just like, how do you not understand that? And then like, why do you not want to be part of this to make more money? Like,
also, why is making more money a bad thing?
Dude, the average coach literally blows my mind. I'm like, why do you not want to be better? Like, why do you not? It's so hard, like now especially, I feel like, to find someone who like wants to coach, but then also wants to do the other things. It's either they either want to coach and want to go to the CrossFit Games at the same time, or they want to coach and they don't really know the other side.
I think there's just a misunderstanding about the amount of work required to be successful in any profession. Like, forget affiliate ownership. Like, if you wanted to be the best car salesman in the world, like, guess what? Like, that's going to be hustle city, dude. Like, you're going to be like...
That's what all brought us in. We like all the uncomfortable shit, so let's go on the marketing.
But here's what I find really kind of perplexing about that is, like, a lot of people can't transition the physical pain over to the kind of, like, mental pain.
That's a good point.
They don't like it. It's like, well... You can go out there and do 1,000 burpees. That's cool, but you can't sit down and write 5 emails. Like, I don't. Yeah. Where's the disconnect here, right?
That's because they haven't made like $1,000 on an email yet, or you know what I mean, or something like that. It's like
the number of clients that we've been like, hey, what should I do? Like memberships down. I'm like, you should email everybody that left within the last 90 days, and they're like 10 of them came back, and I'm like, easiest $10,000 you ever made.
Yeah,
like it took 10 minutes.
An email.
Yeah, that I drafted for you.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. I mean. It's the same thing with, like, nobody really likes CrossFit until they, like, do a Fran Unbroken, right? It's the same thing with, like, business, too. It's like nobody likes doing an email until you make a couple grand, or no one likes... Dude, you know how many times... Like, my biggest thing is, like, I make ads, really good ads, right? That's my thing. And I make, I get good ROAS on my return on ad spend, for those of you who don't know, on a lot of my ads. And a lot of you guys watching, you've probably seen my ads, because I spend, like, I don't know.
Way too much.
Yeah, they pop up every other story.
Yeah, there's millions being spent there, but, like...
Really, millions?
Yeah. I spent at least $100 grand a month. I think last month I spent like 160 grand.
Are you doing that yourself?
Do I spend the money?
No. Do you actually?
Are you spending
sit
other
down
people's
and-
money? What do you?
do you sit down and actually
Make
do
the ads?
not actually make them, like program them to hit the certain demographics that you want, all that,
I like kind of write all the scripts for myself.
You do the creative portion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then
So-
somebody else sets them and puts them out? Like, do you have a business manager for
I
that?
have a girl who runs my ads who worked for another company, and then I kind of like took her, and then she works for me full time now, and she's awesome. And then we kind of just spit fire back and forth with each other for ads. That's probably my most important thing I do besides the programming, or like those two things. Is like always thinking about ads, always thinking about this other thing. And I like to model after other people who are like way more successful than I am. I watch their ads.
Who
and
are,
it's,
who are a
it's
couple
very
people you
interesting.
look at?
So this is actually going to blow people away in the podcast, but like you guys probably don't know, like most people listening, but you guys probably know. Have you ever seen the guy V-Shred?
Let's hit it.
We all have unlimited potential. We just have to figure out how to unlock it.
The best way to burn fat and get shredded is not keto, it's not paleo, it's not vegan, it's not carnivore. It's definitely not intense exercises like this.
I've not seen V-Shred.
Why do I?
I don't like respect him as like for what he does for the programming industry. He's the guy who does like the 5x5. Like it's just like literally probably workouts you can find on like Pinterest, to be honest. It's embarrassing.
I get my training from Pinterest.
Dude, I'm telling you, I think that
It's the
that
new
was a
version.
really...
It's different than 531. It's called 642.
So, I mean, he's just like the average person's workouts.
Right.
But, you know, I know through Alex that he made $300 million this year.
So he's doing all right.
Yeah.
He's doing okay.
They spend an ungodly amount on ads as well. He probably took home, like the company probably takes home like 40 or 50 a top line, and they all have a bunch of business partners and this, that. So, like, for him to be able to generate that much on ad spend, whether he takes that home or not off a top line, I'm like, okay, this guy's ads are really good.
Yeah, it doesn't
So-
matter. That's not the lesson there. It's
So
just
I
like,
analyze the ads that he writes and a lot of the ads that he says. So like that's one person I use for ads. And like it's interesting. Like talk about breaking beliefs. Like I always feel like I have to be in my gym, Chalk Performance Training in Orange County, California, to make the perfect ad. Or like I have to be in a gym, or I need to be on the competition floor at the games. This motherfucker's in his backyard with a pool with like a floaty in the back, and he's just like walking around, and what he says is very, very good. Or he'll be like on the bleachers at a football stadium. You have no idea this guy's making this kind of money. He just looks like a normal dude. But he says just the right things to trigger you in. And I mean, there's, you know, we all know about like how to reach people's pain points and kind of reel them in and all those things. Maybe you guys don't, but you should look into it. If you want to make money online, you should. All those different kind of tactics. Like you should look up like how to make a VSL, a video sales letter. You guys know what a VSL is?
I
Yeah.
do.
If you guys can make that in like 90 seconds versus 30 minutes, which is a typical VSL, you can be able to make a really good ad. So I like to do a lot of stuff like that and work on that stuff. Typically, my best ad right now is actually me rollerblading down the street. If you can imagine, people buying an app and buying my programs off of me rollerblading down the street.
But that has to do with the visual aspect of it, right? Like people see it and they're like, "What is that?" And all of a sudden they're like, "Oh," and then the copy or like whatever you're saying, they're like, "Oh, that's interesting. I'll go a little bit deeper." But the first thing is like visually, what do they see? It stops them.
Usually movement is number
Right,
one.
movement is number
right?
one.
So a lot of people will do those videos at their desk, not as good as someone moving. Or sometimes they'll be moving as they sit in their desk. That makes
Right.
a big difference. I mean, I can break down so many little things.
But here's the deal. Here's what I think is important about that, not necessarily the ad, which is obviously you nerd out and you're good at programming, right?
That's my number one passion for sure.
Right, but and I would argue, although we just disproved it, that if you weren't good at that and you dove in on ads, but I think for a lot of CrossFitters specifically, because that's who our demographic is like they really want to do both, right? And I think that's the balance. Is like you love programming, you're good at programming, you're seeing a lot of this success because you paired that skill set with like, oh, how do I get in front of people? Let me get that skill set, and then you meld those two together, and then. Now we're here having this conversation, and people are like, this dude crushes at selling programs online. I'm like, right, but he wouldn't be able to do that if his programs were shit.
Yeah, so that's another thing that Alex talks about is like if you can spend all this money and all these different things, or you can just have a really good product. So like for me, I told you it went from $4,000 to $20,000 a month off of me not doing any marketing at all. And I think by the time I hit like $40,000 a month was when I was like, dude, I need to push this. Because like now I have the
Proof of concept.
I have the confidence of it though, you know? It was like, I hadn't competed anymore. I didn't really give a shit what anybody thought anymore. And like now it's like, dude, this is what I do for a living. Like, I just like always have this thing in the back of my head, like from my mom. She's always just like, Ryan, I don't give a shit what you do with your life. just whenever you do it, make sure you're the best person. Like, she's like, I will not be upset if you work at McDonald's, but I want you to be the best fucking worker there. She goes, because good opportunity will always come from people liking you and being like, this guy's fucking good, and then something will happen. And when I hire coaches for my gym, I say that. I'm like, dude, I wouldn't have any of this if I wasn't such a good coach that some guy was like, hey, you want me to give you money to open a gym? And I was like, yes. You know?
Yes,
and it was
I
like,
would.
it's just like, I tell people, like, you should want to be the best coach. And when people go home and they're like, oh, how was the gym? And they're like, it was okay. I'm like, that means that you, as a human being, are okay. Like, someone met you today and thought you were okay. Like, that is like, do you know how fucking depressing that is to me? Like, if I leave this podcast and you're like, dude, that podcast with Ryan was like, okay. I'd be like, text me that. I'll fucking kill myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that shit. I feel like you should leave an imprint on everybody that you meet. It could be a bad one, but like, at least they remember you. Everybody loves
We're
Johnny.
not suggesting that.
Johnny McEnroe left a lot of bad imprints on people, but crushed.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's one of those things where if everyone's just adequate, like nothing stands out. So you need to just.
Well, this is literally what we were just talking about there in the classes, which is, I was telling everybody in there because we were talking about the ideal class experience. And
Does your gym take programming seriously? Do your members take progress tracking seriously? TeamBuilder works with performance coaches from CrossFit to the NFL to bring an elevated experience when it comes to program design, tracking, and reporting. Take a free 14-day trial and get complimentary CrossFit programming by using promo code BESTHOUR.
Oh, I love that.
There's probably like, I don't know, 25, 30 people in there. And I said, listen, we could talk about business all day long. But if your class sucks, it doesn't matter, right? Because ultimately, if we just walk through this whole like sales pipeline, it's just like, oh, the ad was cool, the copy was cool, I got in there, they sold me something cool, and then I show up here, and this place is warm milquetoast. The disconnect between what they've experienced between that and then now when they walk in the door and what happens here, they're never coming back, and they're sure shit not going to say anything good about you. So I'm like, this is the most important thing. And then you should stack as many skills on top of the most important thing as humanly possible. And I don't think enough people are okay with like, A, how long that takes, B, how many hours over that time frame it's going to take. Like how many hours would you say you've put in on programming? Like just nerding out and trying to learn programming.
People always say
no drugs. Though.
No, people say, I mean, that didn't really happen until I hit 7 programs. Before that, it was only like 2 or 3 programs and all natural.
Does Adderall help?
For me,
I've never taken Adderall. Do you take it?
It only helps the right people. Like honestly,
so
like
I heard some people it makes.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think that I like probably should have had it, like probably a long time ago.
In school.
I just have such an insane amount of like perception on things. Like I want to do everything at one time.
But Adderall makes you focus, right?
It makes me focus. Yeah.
So did you ever take an Adderall and then like 8 hours
Were you ever
later?
diagnosed with like ADD or something?
Do you ever realize you were focusing on the wrong thing?
I have been, yeah, before.
Yeah.
Do you ever take an Adderall and then focus on the wrong thing for 8 hours? Like shit, I didn't
That actually
program.
can't happen. So like
really,
typically
like,
it's
like I've been
shoes.
staring at this mug
It's
for
usually
8 hours.
No, it's not that. It's usually like shoes. Like you're like on the programming window, and then all of a sudden like a Nike shoe pops up, and you're like, oh. And then you try to like get that shoe as cheap as possible for like the whole.
It takes you 8 hours.
And I've lost thousands of dollars in the process trying to find it. Like
You've
an idiot.
gone through this weird eBay window. You're like,
So
oh my
ridiculous.
god, this guy's with
But
Wisconsin
you got a
has
sweet
this.
pair of Jordans.
Yeah.
But how much time do you think you've spent there? And I don't mean writing programs. I mean just like really nerding out, dissecting, spending time becoming an expert at writing programs.
I know people say 10,000 hours is like the golden rule. I would say I'm at least 3 to 4 times that. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. If you're spending 8 a day, and that's just you're just in the physical act, but you're talking like thinking about
Right.
it, like
Probably like all
Well,
day.
inside my app, I want to say I have a little over 25,000 workouts.
So when I was using the programming, it was in Wodify.
It still is in there, unfortunately.
But you have an app as well.
So I have an app right now for a VIP program, which is like one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
That's done. That just launched. I had a bad issue with a developer on the other side where I was building one and I lost a whole bunch of money. But Wodify's still not bad. I don't mind Wodify as a user experience so much as like what I don't like about it is I'm trying to say this in a way that's like not going to take me too long.
Yeah, because we're sponsored by Wodify, so let's know.
Are you really?
No.
Oh. I mean, it's fine. I write them really, really nice emails all the time.
Yeah, and they get a good chunk of money from your programming, I'm sure.
Oh, they do for sure. But anyway, it's like in the marketing world, I would rather everything be as least amount of clicks as possible.
Yeah.
So the way that I have to do it to make it, it's like I use Zapier for like so many different things to throw everything around, and like it winds up giving me like different types of memberships inside of Wodify. It's just a nightmare. So
Right.
I think just for me, it would be a lot nicer. But sometimes I don't really
You're
like
talking
the way.
about on the back end for you specifically,
Yeah.
not the user end.
The visual part could be better. And like as much as I don't really like the visual part, I wish it was better. People don't
They
care.
just upgraded
They really like it.
but I haven't really had time to go back in because we use it, but I don't really spend a ton of time.
They
or
did more
any
upgrades
time.
on the back end. It's kind of hard. Like as the user, you don't really see very much, but
They just changed some of it. I don't remember what it was. They have custom branding, which is
Yeah.
like you slap your logo on it. But they're always changing things in the back end. And Wodify, sometimes I don't know where you come up with these updates and everything. So like
Will
we
there be a
we
chalk
changed members to athletes.
I'm gonna be building one now.
Okay.
I just got to start again because of the other guy. It just kind of screwed me.
How many clients do you work with one-on-one?
We usually get like 100-ish a month.
You're working with 100. Well, you must have a couple of people that help.
I have
you.
coaches and stuff like that. Yeah.
Are you working directly with anyone?
So I used to work directly with people, but I would just give them like an outlandish price. And
What's
then
an outlandish price? Like, Vern's thinking about making a comeback. 2023 CrossFit Games.
my year.
What would it cost? What would somebody?
I had a couple people pay me $15,000 for 3 months. So
Ooh, that is outlandish. But
Yeah.
hey, we
And
tell
I
people like, ask what makes you excited to help.
I'd get them
right?
on the phone, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, blah blah blah." Like I definitely want you to be my coach, and I'm like, "Well, that's gonna be $15,000." And then they're just like, "All right." And I'm just like, sometimes you get the right person.
That it's fun for you as well.
But I tell them, I say, I just want you to know that you're gonna get a worse experience with me. You're gonna like a coach that will literally get back to you right away versus like me running all my businesses. I might get back to you at the end of the day or maybe tomorrow.
If you're looking for me to look at your snatch form.
And they still do it?
It's
But
like,
certain people, yeah, they just don't care.
I mean,
And I still think about taking a few on, but I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes you get the wrong person. Sometimes you get the right people.
it's like taking personal training clients in the gym. They're like, "Oh, take personal training," and I'm like, "Be careful with that."
Yeah, tough.
If you get the wrong one, it's
we
like,
tell 'em, like,
it's like
charge what
bashing your
you're-
face into a wall for an hour.
charge a number where you're like, okay, I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, you got to be excited.
Physical personal training has got to be the right person. Like
Yeah, for sure.
listen, I could be like $5,000 an hour, and there's still people I'd be like, "No thanks, I'm good." Like, no, I'm not doing it.
So tell us a little bit about the 7 tracks. You got not functional body,
Full body
full
aesthetics.
body aesthetics. You got the big booty blueprint, an Olympic training, a CrossFit program.
The CrossFit I renamed strength conditioning
Okay.
because I have my own twist on it. So like when I opened my gym, the first thing I thought of when I opened the gym was like, I'm a big time competitor. I know these guys don't need that. What do they realistically need? And what can I do for them that's going to make them go out in the world and people be like, fuck, where does this guy work out? Or where does this girl work out? So like since the beginning, I basically don't do like a ton of snatches. Like we do them, but like not a lot. We don't do like a ton of overhead squats or handstand push-ups or all these like traditional kind of CrossFit these things. Again, we still do them. A lot of times on Saturdays, team workouts, we do them. But like during the week, I usually try to focus on, squats, deadlifts, presses, and then we do aggressive conditioning pieces. And I like to call it like more of an aesthetics-based programming versus a performance-based programming. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, you're going to have so many more happy members, in my opinion, doing it that way. Because there's nothing worse than a 40-year-old guy who's spending $200, $300 a month. He's been sitting at a desk all day, and all he cares about in the world is like going to his gym and having a good time with all his people. And he's doing a fucking overhead squat with a bar for half the class, and then, he barely gets to work out. 3 months go by, and his body still looks the same. It's like, I don't like that shit.
I've heard you say that, and actually one of our clients mentioned on a call that, when you see people in chalk gear, you want them to look a certain way, like proud that they go to chalk. And I think that's a cool concept. Like
I like it.
We want people to leave the box and rep the box or, the affiliate and gym and look the part.
I think some of this is a lack of understanding of both coaching and programming, right? And because I think what you just said, I don't disagree with. I also think some people would take that idea and just be like, well, they'll throw the baby out with the bathwater and they'll abandon everything. And I'm like, in a lot of instances, you just need some slight tweaks to the programming and looking at this through just a different colored lens, right? I don't have to throw the whole program out the window, which is like, you don't need to snatch 4 times a week. Do we love snatching? Absolutely. Do we think it's good? Do we think we get a lot of value out of it? Yes. But does that trump? Am I going to die on that sword if it's a bad experience for somebody to come in and snatch and be miserable and not have a good time? And I'm like, at the bare minimum, if it's worth a discussion with the team and be like, where do we draw the line here on like dying on the sword here versus can we get them fit using CrossFit methodology or some other variation of that?
Yeah.
By just thinking a little bit more about the client and less about how we feel about the program.
Yeah.
Right? And that's literally what I was talking about those people out there. I was like, you need to look at the class experience through the lens of the client, not what you think is good coaching. And because a lot of instances, it's terrible client experience, right?
I don't even have the same warm-up in all my classes for my coaches. Like,
I don't either.
I'm literally like, dude, the morning crew is a different crew than the afternoon crew.
You should not do the same thing there. They will quit.
The noon crew is different. Everybody's different. I know all these programs out there that, people who spend a lot of money on their apps and all these things. There's some famous people out there. I'm not going to name them, but like.
I disagree with it.
It's like, dude, you can't have a cookie-cutter experience for every person. Like, people like to go to fucking JoJo's class.
I also think it makes.
What I mean?
I think it also creates a crutch, meaning like it's just everything's spoon-fed. And they're like, well, what should you do for warm-up? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you should Google good warm-ups.
Maybe you should be a fucking coach.
Right. Maybe you should do some homework and do some things and like go do a little bit of homework and research and try some things and do that. So like I don't like when it's just like, hey, this is exactly how you're going to do it. Like I give my coaches free reign on warm-ups. Free reign. Absolutely do whatever you want.
I do the same exact thing. I love that. You're the first person I know who does that. People ask me about warm-ups all the time. I'm like, dude, no. Like, no,
well,
stop it.
It's also like it's the most challenging thing from a coaching standpoint. It's the thing that becomes like Groundhog's Day, the fastest, which is like, okay, well, then we should all be participating and trying to make this a little bit more fun and a little bit more creative to get there faster. And it's like, we don't do the same shit every single day.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, use your brain.
But I like what you said, Ryan, because if I woke up at 4:30 to hit the 5 a.m. class. No, well, Ryan said, this 5 a.m. class needs a different warm-up than 3. If I woke up at 4:30 to hit the 5 a.m., it's like we're playing the pizza game or something.
I'm going to kill you.
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah. Like, get me moving. Like, I was sleeping 30 minutes ago.
Yeah,
like,
cardio right away.
I need to get moving. I need to wake up, and I need to not waste time. Like, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I've been sitting around. Like, it's okay to, like, take a minute to get my mind right, to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Like, you need to know your audience there and mix that up.
I think it forces growth. Right, from like I want you to be creative. I want to see what you have. You should occasionally run workouts that like don't go, or sorry, warm-ups that don't go well. You're like, that didn't pan out the way that I wanted it to.
Just like you
I like that.
do a workout once in a while that you're like, I thought that was going to go a lot different.
Yeah, turns out it was a shit show.
I don't think gym owners have the responsibility to train trainers. Like when you go on the NSCA website after you're done getting your degree and getting your NSCA like license, your CSCS, right, in college, it's like when you apply for, some of these jobs straight out of it, they expect you to know some shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect you to coach at my gym and not know how to do a warm-up. Like, if you have to ask me for a warm-up, I'm like, you're just not the right person.
Yeah.
I think it's both. I think, like, as a trainer, you shouldn't be like, well, they're not helping me. And I'm like, well, you're not doing anything either. But at the same time, I'm like, if you're a gym owner not helping somebody work through that, well, then, A, they're not going to stay.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you should be participating, but it's like a marriage, right? Like you're both responsible for participation, and the one at the point which one of you stops participating is typically when there's a breakup.
So are you doing anything for Chalk anymore? The brick and mortar?
The actual gym, no, not really. I mean, all of my programs still go in that gym, and so they follow the strength conditioning and they follow the sweat. So the sweat for me is a conditioning only class. We don't do any strength. And in my opinion, I put it's the workout that someone can come straight off the street and do without like any sort of like fundamentals or anything. It's like, I just want to work out and maybe I'll do CrossFit in the future, but it's like, what am I going to do right now? Do the sweat class. And like, we'll do kettlebell swings and like wall balls, and we'll do pull-ups and all different things. But we won't do like anything really with a barbell unless it's like a front squat or like a lunge. But like everything like snatches and cleans are all dumbbells. Like everything that we do in the class, I could teach you in like 10 seconds.
Do you have an onboarding at Chalk if someone wants to do the CrossFit style classes?
I usually tell them to do sweat first, and then...
So that is the onboarding?
Yeah, pretty much. And then basically from there, I tell them to get a session with a trainer, and then I'll even credit you that towards your membership. Or
Really?
you can just get that in the beginning, and I'll credit you towards your membership. So I like try to get everybody one-on-one.
So if somebody purchases a one-on-one, that will count towards their membership?
Yeah.
What's the split for a trainer if they work for you?
If they're a trainer in my gym,
Yeah.
they keep all of it. They have to coach
I have
it.
an eye twitch now.
They have to coach at least 10 classes a week, and they just keep all of it just because, honestly, I just really want the coaches to be happy. Like, I live in Newport Beach, California. This is not a model I suggest for everybody.
I was going to ask a very candid question. Like,
the cheapest house by us is like $2 million.
That's what I was going to say. Like, do you think you would do that if you were not? Would you?
100% no.
Okay.
But if you weren't...
I want to make that very clear, everybody.
I just don't want to, like...
I know why you're doing it. You're doing it because...
I don't want to get new coaches every month.
Well, but it's also because, like, you're in a position to do that, and that's what you want to do, which is always what I'm recommending to affiliate owners is, like, listen, you should run a successful business in order to do whatever you want from that point, right? If you want to give away all your money, I don't care. But you can't give away all your money if you don't have any money.
Yeah.
And you can't be benevolent with the exception of time, if you have nothing to give people.
Would you be able to do that if you didn't have your programming for your income?
That's actually a good question. I probably would take their money.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
yeah,
right?
that's the point,
the question
right?
I was asking, right?
You know what sucks, though, is, like, they don't appreciate it.
Well, do they know any better?
No, they do.
If they went to work at like a Lifetime or an Anytime, they'd
I know
be giving a
they'd
split,
get 40%, maybe.
I know they've looked at other gyms at certain points, and they're kind of like, oh, shit, like, we are getting a good deal. But it's like when I want to instill certain rules, I get pushback, and it's like, you know, they might listen to this at some point, and it's fine. It's just more of like, I really want them to understand, like, the gift that you're getting is
all
pretty-
your coaches listen to this podcast, so be careful with what you're
Honestly, I would never say anything that I was like, you know,
Well, I
wish I
think
didn't
you
say.
have
Right.
typical box owner struggles. It's like,
Yeah.
especially you said they have to 10 a week. It's a good amount. So you
It's a
do
good
have
amount of
part-time coaches though.
Two a day for 5 days a week.
Right. So you have some coaches that have other careers or coach elsewhere.
Yeah, no, they don't coach anywhere else. They just coach at my gym. But a lot of them usually do PT, and they stay out of the way. And like, it's not really a big deal. Sometimes they're in the way. It's kind of an issue, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? But
How big's your space? I've only seen videos of it.
It's 5,500 total.
How much is that, like, usable floor
So
space?
usable floor space is like 3,500, and the rest of it is like nice showers and locker rooms. And all
It's
that
like a
stuff.
really nice facility. Like,
It's nice.
I've seen
yeah.
pictures of it. Like, one of my good buddies, Travis Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
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 He was out in Virginia Beach for a long time, and he was at my box for a long time, and then we moved back out there. He's
Yeah.
there. So I've, like, seen a bunch of his videos.
I know him very well.
I know.
Yep.
I figured as much when I saw what he was doing. I was like, oh, I see what you did there.
you were one of the first people that opened a box and was like,
wanna
let's
make it
make
nice.
this nice.
Yeah.
And you probably had to in your area.
Yeah, so I mean, my business partner was like, I want to open a gym, and I was like, I don't. So like,
I don't know if this partnership is. That's like
We've
me
come
and
to our
Fern. He's
first
like,
hurdle.
Fern's like, I want to work hard. I'm like, I don't.
because I was
So-
making like $6,500 a month as a trainer, and then I knew it when I opened the gym I was going to make $4,000 a month, because we
The
talked about
owner,
the numbers and stuff. And he's like, well, you might make more at the end, like when the profit and everything. And I was like, I don't know. This is
30
pretty
grand
nice.
less a year sounds terrible.
So I was like, dude, I'll do it if you give me $1 million. I'm like, he's
to
like,
open.
not like, well, here. I was like, I want $1 million. He's like, what do you need $1 million for? I was like, I want it to be so cool that it's like crazy. And he's like, well, let's see how much that costs. And yeah, like if you need $1 million, I'll give it to you. And I was like, oh, cool. I think I only wound up spending like $250 or $300.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
grand.
can only spend so much
Yeah.
opening a really nice CrossFit.
Yeah. So I didn't need nearly as much as I thought. And it wound up, I mean, that's how I got like 120 members the first day I opened. And I didn't know anything about business at all. The only thing I knew was like all the other gyms in my area sucked. So I started just putting out a bunch of social media on the gym as I was opening it. I'd be like, hey guys, like I just bought like 30 grand worth of Olympic lifting plates, all colored plates. Like no one had those at all in
Right.
my
Back then
area.
especially.
It was crazy. And then like everyone had like 2 assault bikes. I was like, I just bought 10 assault bikes. I just did this. I'm putting the paint up and doing all this stuff. And I would just kind of like tag all the hashtags like in my area.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
And then I would like tag other
Dude, you would
gyms.
tag other gyms. That's so funny.
Well, they all kicked me out because like I just wanted
Hey,
to
it is
work
what it
out in
is.
some of these people's gyms. They were all mean to me, so I was like, all right, well, I'll just tag the gym. So then, by the time it opened, I got so many members from other gyms. I never like reached out to anyone. They just saw the social media. And then yeah, I had 120-ish members. I never had a day in the red ever.
Wow.
And the gym still
That's
makes
incredible.
really good money now.
Why do you? I was gonna say, why do you stay open? Not that, or why don't you sell? Like,
I would love to sell it if the right person came along. So like people have asked me to sell, and like I just really want the gym to still be chalk as a place that people are excited to go to. And I just don't want the wrong person to take it over and be like, well, this is my gym and this is how I'm going to run it.
Right.
It's like I still want content to come out of there. I still want like the people who run it to like love the brand of chalk, you know.
I just wanted to ask you about the branding in there. In the walls, so your color is orange
Yep.
at the box, obviously. In the walls behind the squat racks where it has like, looks like drywall and then
the holes.
the holes.
I did
Are-
that myself.
But that's intentional, right?
Intentional,
Okay,
yeah. People ask me about that all the time. Like I just want it to be like a kind of
It's unique.
like the creative workspace vibe.
No, it's great. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to ask you that, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you did that on purpose, but like, I like it. I dig it. It's cool.
That's
It's
where we
unique.
did feet over handstands too, so it kind of chipped the wall anyway.
Right. That's why I was like, there's one of two things that happened there. It's
Yeah.
like way too many handstands up there on the drywall, or he did that on purpose. And I'm like, it's cool. And this is something I think more gyms should think about is like, I've always remembered that about your gym. And I'm like, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know why. I have no idea why that
Yeah, I can't.
catches my eye.
I cannot believe you knew that right now.
Really? I don't know why
we've
it
never
catches my.
discussed that, and you didn't know we were going to talk to Ryan until like a couple hours ago. So
I mean, it's not like he's a nobody.
no, but you legit, it stuck out to you is the point.
That's my point,
Yeah.
right? Is like being outrageously unique is not always required. Like just like the subtleties matter is really where I was going with that. And it's like that was a subtle thing, and I'm like, that's cool. Like I dig. Sometimes it tells me a lot about people. I'm like, you clearly put some thought into that. You're like, oh, I want to do that. That's unique, and I'm like, okay, that's a good like little peek into some people, I think.
Yeah, where did you get that branding knowledge? Like, cause
Dude, I didn't have like any of this.
even like
I knew nothing.
The font. What font is that?
It was the Adderall.
Oh, dude, my
It's like Helvetica?
my video guy right now. That's funny. my video guy right now. He every video he gives me, I'm like, dude, the font sucks. The font sucks. The font sucks. Or this sucks. Or that sucks. And I think about these like little tiny things all the time. Even in my gym, I'll tell all the trainers, I'm like, dude, what are you guys doing? Like the gym looks like a shithole, and it's like one dumbbell on the ground, and I literally just like fucking short circuit.
So you can't work out there.
Oh no.
Yeah. Like,
Oh no. I mean, dude, I literally went to my gym maybe 10 times in the last year and a half.
where do you train when you're home?
I work out in like gyms that are close by, actually. They're like kind of bodybuilder, / CrossFit, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But
Just because you can't separate?
I used to be able to do it, and it was great. But then it just became like everybody wanted to talk to me. I was mad about the dumbbell on the ground, or, you know someone's training.
You weren't able to enjoy it.
Someone's training during a very, very crowded class. They shouldn't be training, like all these different things. So, yeah, that stuff like really, really bothered me and got to the point where like people always think like, oh, Ryan doesn't even care about this place anymore. It's like, dude, I care about this place so much that like I'm here at the CrossFit Games just saying hi to everybody. Like the ticket here was not cheap. Like,
Well, can I ask why wouldn't you just address those things?
what do you mean?
Like if they bothered you, like why not just get them? Why not fix them? I guess is the question. The box.
Things at the gym?
Yeah.
Because the more I spend time in the gym, the more I take away from online, and it really it's tough.
It's a math equation for you.
Yeah, it's really tough.
You have the GM there. It's not like there's fires going on. It's like little stuff, but for someone that cares as much as you do, it's aggravating.
Right. There's definitely a point where you're like your OCD has negative return.
No, but I get that. You get that as a box owner. It's like, put the fucking dumbbell away. Like, it's not a big deal to everybody else, but it's your baby.
Yeah.
And even if you pay someone $70,000, no one will ever care as much about your business as you do.
They shouldn't. It's not theirs.
Yeah. So Ryan's.
Yeah.
It's hard to separate.
So
that.
like I'm okay with the things that happen there. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like
It's
I
not
have
a
to.
dump for the record. That's not what I'm suggesting.
No,
that was just a question.
I'm just super
Right.
OCD. You know,
Right.
and I'm totally like I know that. Like I know I'm not normal in that aspect. But like for me, it's like I know that the energy needs to be put online, and I hate to even say that. You know, I hate to like go to a meeting at my gym, and be like this is what's really important, but like don't fuck this up type of thing. And it's not like that really either. But it's like I don't want to be the little plankton that's getting eaten by the whale. So like I have to go do all these other things. And sometimes I know like you look at my life, you're like if you want to see a cool life, look at Ryan's life, and it's like
You're eating Whole Foods every day.
well, I travel a lot. I
train
do a lot of
hard.
cool shit. But it's like I think a lot of people.
Dude, he was in Boulder. I was like, when are you here till? He's like, I don't know. And
Oh, yeah, I have
anybody
no
that
schedule.
can do that is like, now that we've got a kid, I'm like, oh, that's what life without a kid is like.
Yeah.
Like that's.
You're like, oh, you can just
He's like, it's
leave
really cool
the house
here.
whenever you want.
And every day, be like, well, I might stay till Monday. I might stay till Tuesday.
I do work like an absurd amount of hours. I probably work like at least 10 hours a day every day.
Even when you're traveling?
Monday through Sunday. Yeah, even this morning I woke up at 5 and I was in the coffee shop until like 11. And then came here, did all this stuff, went and worked out, came here. I'll go work again until like nighttime and go to bed.
And your girlfriend's with you?
And she works too. So my girlfriend was a PA.
What's her
physician
name, Zoe?
assistant. Zoe
Zoe what?
Ziegler.
Zoe Ziegler? Well, she's like a. That sounds like a. Zig
Don't say
Ziglar?
it.
No, I was
Okay,
gonna. No, it sounds like somebody says smart things. Zoe Ziegler.
She is smart.
She's a nutrition coach, right?
She works for me on the CrossFit one-on-one, or not the CrossFit, sorry, on the Chalk one-on-one side. So all the one-on-one coaching. So she pretty much built most of it. So she had a really good job as a PA, physician assistant. It's like an amazing job.
Pays well.
Yeah.
Yep. So she quit that job just to do it with me. So she makes already more than she was making as a PA, which is great. And we're trying to grow that side of it.
That's awesome.
I want to keep growing the app. Obviously, that's like my vision for everything is to basically be. When you think of like big supplement companies, you think of like First Form, you think of like, Optimum Nutrition, you think of like all these things. I just want people to think of me as like the place that you go for training programs. Like I just want you to be like, oh, I want to go to the gym and I want to get bigger. I want to get good at, sports or whatever. And it's like, I'm going to do chalk performance training, like, cause that's what they do. And I just want to be thought of like in that way, like where there's like, you only think of like 3 supplement companies. I want you to think of like your top 3 training programs. In CrossFit, you have that with like Comp Train and Mayhem,
Right.
and people can still consider me in there. But it's like,
You're expanding outside of that now.
I want to be outside of that, and I want people to just be like, training, chalk, boom. Like, that's what I want.
But I think that's cool because that's your one thing. It's programs. So it's like not a bunch of other shit. It's just like, I like programs. I want to be known for programs. I'm like, yeah, fucking do programs, man. Like,
Well, I was telling you we're at Lifetime a lot of the time, my wife and
Oh,
I.
yeah.
And yeah, that'd be perfect. Like, you see people doing like nonsense there. Like, they should be doing something smarter than just whatever I don't know where they get their stuff.
Yeah,
But
what's today's date right now? It's the 6th.
Yeah,
In 4 days, I'm
8/6.
talking to the vice president of 24-Hour Fitness, and I'm going to try to get chalk into like every 24-Hour Fitness on the world.
that'd be
It's going to be insane. So if
Sweet.
it actually works out, it'll be really, really cool. That'll be like my first step of like walking towards that goal that I have.
that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
What was it like with Zoe to get her to quit her job?
Very, very stressful.
For both of you or mostly you?
She's like, I want you to have a really, really big life change at the time, so I want you to sell your gym at the same time. So like, and I was like, because I'm always like,
she was doing one of those things.
I'm always like, I don't know if I can sell
If I
my,
give up something, you're going to give up something.
because it's really hard, right? Her
Yeah.
job was really hard, and
so hard
Al-
to get to. Like that's a tough
Yeah.
degree.
So my friend Alex Hermosi,
Yeah.
like, he's literally, probably my best friend. He literally is like, dude, I know that you will get to the next level as soon as you sell your gym because you'll just get that headspace will be gone. And I agree, but it's like, and that's why I have the manager. So to me, it's like, so Alex is like, did you sell your gym? And I'm like, no, I have a manager. I don't think about it anymore. It's like, it's all good. And he's like, no.
It's not the same, right?
Not good
the
enough.
same.
Not the same.
And it's like, but I like all my content's there, and like I really care about the people there. I care about the coaches. Like I care about everyone, even though not everyone thinks that. But it's like I care so much, and it's like, so Layla, which is Alex's wife, is like talks to Zoe like every single day. So they both really want me to do well, and they're like, these are the steps that you need to do. So she's like, you should do that step, and I'm gonna do this step, and then it'll be fair. And I'm like, that's not the same, you know what I mean? But like. I've talked to a lot more people recently about acquiring the gym than I ever have, and I definitely would consider it. I just want it to be the right person.
The right person.
I
Yeah.
spent 8 years in that gym.
But if for the right
Like-
price, do you care if it's the right person?
I would let the right person do it for significantly less money.
So it is
So if
really
you're out
important
there-
to you to hold up the integrity of chalk.
Yeah,
the
if you're
brick
out there
mortar.
and you really want to make content, you want to be part of Chalk, and you want to be like, you really want to love it like I did for the last 8 years, then I'll definitely consider
He's
it.
also looking for a media guy, full time, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool too.
There you go. We might. Who knows?
Lake Tahoe area,
So
obviously.
getting into, you said it was the 24. What box?
24-hour
I'm sorry,
fitness,
what gym?
yeah.
24 fitness. What, you have the new app coming out. Anything else?
Just the one-on-one program is new. That's something that took me a while to put together in
To
a
work
way
with the coaches.
to work with the coaches. So I have different coaches online than I have in the gym. I thought I could do the people in the gym, but you kind of have to have separate. So it's just like, it's not easy as you think. The one-on-one coaches are like, I mean, they work hard. Like you got to, people want a lot of
that's tough,
communication.
Yeah. It's not as easy as people think it is.
The training programs you really need to care about. There's a lot more training programs there than I have in my app. A lot of people think that you can just start following some training program, and that's like not the way the world works. A lot of people don't
yours
understand.
you have to start at a specific time. I know when you get on there, it'll say like if you're just starting, go back to this day.
Yeah.
Oh, I did want to talk about a couple things. Your body weight, I like that. Like in the winter, I would wake up and do like one of your body weight workouts in my basement just to get
They're one of a
moving.
kind, dude.
Yeah, but they're just like
Yeah.
cool, like not that they're easy, but they're like jumping jacks, mountain climbers, push-ups. So
Yeah.
I was doing like 20 minutes just to get moving, and then one thing. We were talking about in the FBA, you have those density days.
Yeah, those are
I
super
love
fun.
those. So density days, he takes, I think, 6 movements typically.
It's 6 to 7, depends on the day, yeah.
And you have to do 100 reps of each, and usually there's like a 8-minute, which of course I don't
I'm assuming that's just for hypertrophy.
Yeah, so like I do traditional like progressive overload,
Right.
and then I have one day where it's like I know all these guys like interval stuff, so I'm going to put something that we can at least measure.
Right.
So we do an AMRAP style of a bodybuilding movement. It's 7 minutes. And then
I don't listen. I
It's all
usually
good.
go
It's all
till
good.
100. I'm like, I gotta finish this thing.
Oh no, it switches. Some cycles it's 100 reps per time,
Okay.
and then other cycles it's 7 minutes for max reps.
It was like back squat was one day.
Can we
right?
talk about this for a second? Because this is something I
how I don't listen to the programming?
correct. Yeah, he's seen it. He's never actually done any of the workouts. But this is something, and so for the record, we fully endorse like using other people's program, right? Like we have nothing to sell people with regard to programming, right? But I do think that everybody overlooks one of the most important aspects of programming, and it's just like does somebody want to do that?
I call it the X factor.
Right. And this is where I think a lot of gym owners, trainers, like forget just the whole world. They're just like, well, if I just take this and I facilitate, then it'll be fine. I'm like, right, but it's not fun. Nobody wants to do that. And you don't actually give a shit about it. And this is why I think more people should write their own programming. Like we write our own programming at our facility, and we're constantly challenging them. They're like, that workout sucks. Don't write that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's not a good training session. Nobody's showing up for that. And I'm not doing it. I own the joint, and I'm not going to show up for that, right? Like, that sucks. And I think it's weird. If you nerd out on fitness and training, it feels a little slimy to talk about it that way, I think, sometimes, but I think it's important.
Yeah, I mean, if we had someone on here who had a PhD in, like, progressive overload and, you know, different training variables, like probably like Dr. Mike Israelty from RP Strength. Right. And, I mean, I can go straight super nerd right now, but I'm just not going to because it's not worth it. And, like, people will just get boring and
But that's my
fall
point.
asleep. But it's like what you're saying is.
But you can take that stuff and I can put the fun factor onto it and achieve the same thing. Yeah. Oh, and everybody will show up for it.
So he remembers density days and all these things because it doesn't exist anywhere. And it's my version of what it could be to get a very good result still. And I think that is what is missing because people are either their shit's not fun or it is fun but still has absolutely no direction.
Right,
so like,
it's just random.
Yes. Right. Like you can't go. I remember I worked for a box one time when I was still coaching and it was just hero wads every day. Just like Murph one day and then like Morrison another way and then like it would be like Chad 1,000-step box stumps, step ups the next day. It's just like because they just wanted the whole session to be filled and people were just moving nonstop and it's like you can only do that for so many times. Like and you can only do it so many times and like no one has like any strength built in.
Well, it's also one of those things like you could take a series of replace any of those with like what we would call like, hey, this is a well-designed workout. I'm not saying those are not well-designed. Those are designed for a different reason. But you could take 5 workouts that are well-designed, put them together, and now have garbage training. And I don't think people think, they're like, oh, I'll just do all these together. And I'm like, that literally makes no sense. Like, you're going to have people injured within 2 weeks of doing that. And I don't know. It's a pet peeve of mine. I'm like, I think people abdicate that responsibility as a trainer or a box owner. And I'm not saying you can't outsource it and reduce your workload significantly, but I still think you should take ownership of it.
Yeah,
just
for
as
sure.
a professional.
People ask me when they buy my programs, like, hey, can I modify this? Can I modify this? I'm like, you should absolutely modify it to whatever you think the people in your gym are going to need. Like, there's never going to be a program you're going to copy and paste and it's going to be legit for your gym.
That's what we
Maybe
tell
another one.
We tell everybody that. I'm
yeah.
like, at the high end, consider it 75% done. On the high end.
I like that.
You know, and you know, for example, some of your programming, it's like we're going to hit the same 2 movements. And that might seem like it's going to get boring, but you need to do that. Like we need that consistency, and then the other movements would fluctuate.
It's like accountability with a coach. Like every week you're like checking in. You're like, okay, I'm not being a pussy. Okay, I'm not being a pussy. So it's like, the X factor is really like it's hidden by like the term RPE basically, right? Like how hard did you go on that rep? So like you're never going to go hard on the rep if you don't like the workout. So like. The X factor of like, do you like the workout is kind of the intensity factor. So yeah, you do need to make it interesting, and it does need to change. But fuck, man, so many people come into CrossFit because they're beginners. They went to the gym, they had no clue what they were doing. They were just doing 3 sets of 10 on everything, and they left, or they were just doing some workout they found in Men's Health magazine, or actually nowadays they're just bookmarking all their favorite workouts on Instagram, and it only works for so long. And then all of a sudden they come into they go to CrossFit gym, and all of a sudden the intensity is fucking through the roof because now they're like going really, really fast. They get insane results, and then 6 to 12 months later, it's like I don't know what's happening anymore. So then they find me, or they find someone else who does programming. They're like, oh my god, I'm getting all these results again. And then the longer you've been in it, the harder it gets to get like 2 more pounds of muscle, or like 10 more pounds on your weight. So it becomes more and more important. And then also in the competitive realm for these guys, it's like they already came in as like complete savages in something. They were like an insane gymnastics person. They were like an insane football player.
Yeah, genetics got brought to the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were just like, he looks like that because of CrossFit. He's like, he looked like that like 90% before he started.
It didn't hurt, but
yeah.
There's a word. It's now a professional sport. Genetics is a thing.
Totally.
Let's not pretend it's not. Like some people are just never making it to that stage.
I was genetically 5'5".
Well, but I mean, you see that. I mean, I played college basketball, and it's just regardless of how much I would ever train.
He has to bring that up on every show.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not giving myself a compliment here. There's certain guys you walk out onto the court, and I'm like, I'm never I'm not dunking on that guy.
Yeah.
He's going to dunk on me. I'm never going to be able to guard that dude. I'll do my best, but this is going to be a disaster, right? Like, it just is what it is.
I mean, Tia Toomey has been winning forever. I don't think that, like, I'm not going to, like, say anything, like, outrageous here, but I'm not going to say her training is better than everyone else's training. She's probably just a savage.
Yeah.
Like,
she was on the bobsled team
She's
too,
the Terminator,
right?
dude.
Yeah.
She's genetically gifted and mentally locked in.
But you could say it about almost every CrossFit athlete. So, like, that's why I get like such an argument about, whose programming is the best. It's like, she's crushed forever. Matt Fraser crushed forever. Rich Froning crushed forever. Like, Annie Thorisdottir crushed forever. It's like all these people came in and they were just savages to begin with. And it's like,
I forget who I was talking to. So, but this was like, this was some high-end coach, and he was just like, yeah, I have that conversation with coaches all the time. He was like, hey, do you really think
you're the best
that you're the best? Like, you really think that if I couldn't give this athlete to another coach and they couldn't get a very similar result with that?
I can
you know who it
program
was?
for Tia.
Your jiu-jitsu coach.
Amal.
Was talking about it. He's like, do you really think, like, you made that guy? He's like, no. He's like, you directed them a little bit, gave them some pointers, but, like, that was 90% done when it walked in the door,
I don't want to discredit anyone. It's just,
No, but
but
it's a thing, though, right?
Yeah.
Let's not pretend it's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you can take somebody who has holes in their mental game, right? And you can shore that up. Or you can take somebody who has, some minor deficiencies with regard to, muscular stamina, is like how far they can get through certain workouts. And I'm like, you can tweak that, but what are we talking about? We're talking about 5%?
Yeah.
Like,
well, my main message in that note is, like, if you're someone right now who is been trying to get to regionals for 10 years, it's probably, even if you did make it to the games, you would give up so much just to go and get last, which is like, if you really, really want that, that's fine. But there's other things in your life that you might, be able to chase after that are more attainable and might actually fulfill you more. Like, if you did the email and made $1,000, you might be like, oh, fuck, like, I have good things to say. Maybe I like writing emails all of a sudden. You know what I mean? And it's not that the money matters. It's just that, like, people heard you. And you're like, oh, people liked my message, right? Like, I don't care about how much money I make versus how much people like my programs. Like, I walk around here and people are like, dude, I love your programs. No one says, like, how much money do you have?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, like, your programs are dope. And I'm like, dude, fuck yeah. And money will come because you love it. And it's like, I think a lot of people think that, you know what it's like when someone's in a CrossFit gym and they want to leave that gym. It's like impossible. They're like, oh, this other community might be better, but I'm just like, I'm so attached to the gym. Or like, I don't want to leave CrossFit and go to a regular gym. Like, maybe they've never done a good snatch ever in their life. Their whole body's like falling apart, but they still just keep going and like doing like their little T-Rex cleans.
God, the conversation. They're like, so-and-so doesn't want to snatch. And I'm like, okay.
Who cares?
What? Fine. What,
Yeah.
are we going to die on this hill? Like, what is it? Really? Is that? I was talking to a coach in one of the coach development, and they're like, she just, we had this argument because she didn't want to do the 400-meter run, and I'm like, I don't understand you having this argument with the client. She wants to row, and I'm like, then let her row.
Yeah.
It literally doesn't matter. Is she going to have a good time and get her fitness on? I'm like, then go with that option, because anything else out of that makes you the idiot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's silly.
Before you leave, where can everybody find your stuff? Chalk
Performance Training. So you'd have to just go to the Instagram in the link in my bio on Instagram. It's just Ryan Fish, RyanFisch, and then it's chalk.performance training on the Instagram.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
We've saved Ryan's reputation in CrossFit. We've talked about programming. And
Talk about business. Talk about mindset.
I really hope you get that deal with
Oh, dude, I'm
24.
excited. Yeah.
That'd be phenomenal.
I was supposed to have it the day before COVID happened. So I was driving up to San Diego.
Oh, this is like 2 years now?
Mm-hmm. So I was driving up. I was going to have the conversation, and then she called me, and she's like, hey, everything's been canceled. Like, the whole world just died. And then I was like, oh, my God. So I waited 2 years now to have this conversation that I'm going to have in 4 more days.
Well,
Overnight success.
Congrats.
That's what they'll say.
Congrats on that. And I think, Alex and I agree. Sell the gym. Open up that space. Good stuff's coming.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm glad we got to link up, and we really appreciate you coming on the show.
It's been fun, dude.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Yep. If you guys have questions, don't ask us. Ask Ryan.
He knows more than us.
He knows more about programming than we do. But yeah, dude, this has been fun. I think it's always good to pick people's brains and just like see where they're at and see where they're going. And wish you the best, dude.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. See you guys next time.
We appreciate you choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community.